Choose a boss, not a job. When you're making an employment decision, so maybe you're thinking about leaving your current company to go elsewhere or making a transfer within your current organization to a different part of the organization, one of the most important things that you really should consider is your boss and that relationship. Hello, everyone. My name is Latanya, and I'm an HR executive with over 25 years of experience, and I'm here to offer encouragement and support to all of those P31 women out there, particularly for today's quick chat, those who maybe work in a corporate or an office setting. One of the most important relationships is that you have with your boss. And it is so important to really think this through whenever you're thinking about making a change in terms of your employment relationship. The relationship between boss and subordinate is the number one factor for you. And while you're in your current role, in terms of helping to propel you to that next level, I can actually attest from personal experience. I've been blessed, truly blessed with some wonderful managers, bosses, whatever you want to say, however you want to call them. I've been blessed and had people who literally took me under their wings, kind of in some cases spoon fed me information and the steps that I needed to take to perform and excel, who championed me in front of other people in the organization when they understood what my goals were. So you have to really take this to heart in terms of what this relationship can do for your career, basically. And so when you are interviewing for a new role, so if it is time for you to move on and you're interviewing, whether that's in your company or maybe it's something that's outside the company, you need to be interviewing that boss. Look, don't get full of yourself and like interview them. Like, I've had people do this to me in interviews and it drove me crazy. Don't start asking them questions like, well, let me whip out my list of 15 questions for you and go through them like you're interviewing them, and all the burden is on them to impress you. There is some of that, but you want to come across as you need to be a little more humble in that process. But definitely ask questions and definitely make sure that you get a good feel for them and their working relationship and how they're going to treat you and how they're going to support you in your growth and development. If you have a boss who is maybe intimidated by you, and this does happen, probably not as often as employees think, to be honest. And that, again, is coming from my 25 years of HR experience. But there are some cases where you have bosses who are intimidated. That sometimes you can kind of sense that when they're talking to you, when they're asking you about certain accomplishments that you've made, accolades, achievements, degrees, etc. If you sense skepticism, that could be a sign. Or just sometimes you just get a gut feeling. And I believe that the Lord gives us sometimes intuition that tells us, this is probably not a good fit for me. I've been in interviews where I have walked into a company and I literally was like, this is not the place for me. It's happened on more than one occasion. And when that happens, really think that through, because it could just be a blatant sign that that's not for you. But when it comes to that boss relationship, oftentimes you can get those flags that tell you, okay, this is not a good match. We have different ways of working, and this is probably not going to work out. And what you don't want to do is, I always say, go from the frying pan to the fire and get into a situation that's just not healthy. The other thing that you want to do, kind of the flip side is if you are currently with a boss who supports you, who communicates with you, who trusts you, that's huge. If you are still in your development stages for that particular role that you're in, you don't want to give that up on the fly. You really need to think through what that will look like if you no longer have that person in your corner. And before you make a move, you really need to consider how that's going to impact your growth. I have seen countless occasions when someone within the same company, transfers from one boss to another. They take a different position or whatever, and they're sometimes they just decline because it's just not a good match. And so there's something that you really just need to kind of think through. And of course, pray. Ask the Lord for guidance when you're at that pivot point in your career, when you're trying to assess how that particular manager or boss is going to work with you in helping to support you in your career goals. All right, ultimately, it is in the Lord's hand. We have to trust the sovereignty of God. And if you do that, then you'll be okay. That's all I have for today. Be blessed and be encouraged. If you have questions, leave them in the comments. For anyone who's out there watching this video, subscribe, as I will continue to drop these little nuggets and hopefully share all this HR and career and leadership knowledge that I've acquired over the years. Only by the grace of God, but definitely want to be able to pour into other women in my journey. Thanks.